Relationships look nothing like our parents' ones, do they? Back then, it was pretty clear. One person earned the money, one person ran the house. Kind of simple.
Yeah, now everything's blurred. Like my wife and I both work full time, share the bills, split the chores. Well, at least that's the theory.
You see, that's really different for us as well. So, my wife's at home with the kids. She does most of the childcare, the cooking, the cleaning. But then I handle the finance, the car, the DIY, which is all a little bit, like old school, I guess. But it works for us, but it has taken some negotiation to get there about who does what.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I think. Like every couple's version of fair looks different, and it's 50-50 on money, time, effort. Is it? Or is it just keeping the wheels turning?
Yeah, exactly. And today we're going to dive into what fairness really means in, relationships today and how couples balance those things, or how do they balance the money, the chores, the expectations, without losing the connection between them.
Yeah, so whether you're splitting everything evenly or dividing it based on what makes sense, today we'll talk about how to make it work and why the idea of 50-50 might be setting us all up to fail. Fair doesn't always mean equal. Sometimes it means today you carry more, tomorrow I will.
And for those of you who haven't been here before, I'm Liam, this is Ash, and we are Between Mates.
Between mates, between loves, between questions we don't ask. From the big to the small, we're covering it all. Just two voices in the cracks.
So, Ash, what does fair look like in your household today?
So I think fairness in our household today probably has different facets. So I know today's episode is about love, money, fairness, and I think fairness is such a wide-ranging thing. Like I think there are days where like, for example, let's talk about money, right? So money-wise, we split everything 50-50 to a degree, and I think what I mean by 50-50 is like everything's merged together now. Whereas like maybe when we merged it from the beginning, it was we deemed that as 50-50, but now it's kind of like because it's so merged, we we have a discussion at the start of every year. Basically in January, we sit down and have a discussion around what do we want our budget to be this year. And the fairness comes from discussing, okay, well, how much do we need to put into the house? How much do we want to like spend on gifts this year? How much do we want as in spending money for ourselves? That sort of thing. And that money for ourselves might be different, right? So like we both get bonuses through work. Now they're very different in terms of the size of the bonuses. My wife's bonuses are bigger than my bonus, and I think that's helpful. And the reason why that's helpful is because if she wants to spend things on skincare or clothes or shoes or any type of shopping, buying a MacBook, whatever it is, right? She can freely go do that with any of that money. And so, and while we still set a budget, within the budget, we still have play money or like money that we can spend on anything we like. But that's just the cherry on top to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more fluid and a little bit more, something just crops up. You see a top, you see something and you want to buy it and you can, right? Makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, I think I was just smiling to myself when you talked about her bonus being bigger than yours. Obviously, for people who've listened to our previous episodes, we work for the same company. So, if anybody's listening from our company, then we're not complaining. But
we're not complaining, but
if you want to make Ash feel like he's a bit more fair with his wife, then you could give him a bigger bonus. That would be good. Wouldn't complain.
Not going to complain. I'm not going to complain.
It's interesting that you kind of jumped straight to money there about fairness, because I think money's such a big piece, and we've talked a little bit in previous episodes about relationships and the conversations you can have, and the difficult conversations. And I think money can be a really big one, especially if you're getting into relationships that are a little bit later in life, because you've already got your own incomes, or you've got your own outgoings as well. You've got your own car you're paying for, your own everything else, maybe your own house and things. It's interesting, but we're very different. So we're a single income household. My wife's a stay-at-home mum, so I manage all of our finances, but we have a budget the same, and whilst I manage it all, we still have that conversation between us about what is available and what is needed. So it kind of, I think it works well for us, but for other people that might not be the case. They might feel like they need much more control, or maybe their trust isn't there yet because they're still early days in the relationship. So I think fair in terms of money means that it has to work for both of you, not that it has to be, this is the rule.
I think that's true, because I think about, like, you and I watch Dave Ramsey a little bit, right? And he's pretty like cutthroat around. Okay, well, if you're not sharing and you're married, like, that's not going to work, right? And I think this, in reality, it actually comes back to what's the discussion you and your partner have had in order to come to a comfortable situation, whatever that agreement is, where you're both going, yeah, this works for us. And actually, it doesn't matter whether something's split, or I've got a prenup, or everything's combined, or it goes through one account, or whatever the case is, right? It comes back to having that conversation. And we talked about difficult conversations last time. Sometimes that can be quite a difficult conversation too.
And it's probably going to change depending on where you are in that relationship. So where we are today is different from when we first started dating. When we started dating, I was paying for probably 90% of everything. My wife paid for a few dates, but she had a part-time job. She was at university. I had a full-time job. Our income levels were different. And then after about a year, I suggested we open a joint account, which we did, and we paid in a small amount. I think it was like £100 a month. And that meant that there was less pressure on me to pay for everything. And she also got that feeling of, she's contributing equally. And we kept that joint account going forward when we actually first moved in together into our first place.
Yeah.
And we used that for all of our joint bills because she had a job at the time and so did I. But now that I'm the only income earner, we've dropped the joint account because it didn't give us any benefit. We just have the discussion up front. She has the trust in me. Like Dave Ramsey said, we're married, therefore our finances are one. So if you can't trust the person, then that's at least the way he looks at it. So.
And do you find how do you balance the independence in that, right? So like we divvy, everything comes into a joint, and then we portion stuff out into our individuals. Some stuff comes out of our joint, and then some stuff comes out of our individuals. Like, how does it make it easier? Like you said that everything comes into one. Like, is that an easy thing in order to manage versus having a joint?
Yeah, because everything comes into my account, and then everything gets paid from my account. And there are a couple of things like my wife has a couple of subscriptions, like a phone and things like that are paid from her account. I just send her the money every month, just as a automated thing to just pay for those things. And just recently, our budget's allowed for like just a small, guilt-free spending pot sort of thing. That I send her as well. So though she does have that a little bit of spending money, but we've accepted that having only one income means that we've got to cut back on certain things. So those frivolous things that you talked about being able to have aren't really a problem for us, if that makes sense. Because it's not in the budget. But we discuss all of that up front, and if she needs something, then we discuss it, and I go, I've put money away for that. If it's some clothes or something, I've been saving for clothes, don't worry. We'll get those things.
It's funny you say that, actually, because we still ask, even though we've got the discretionary budget or like the discretionary pots, we still ask each other, even for the small things or the big things. Like, even though she's like, oh, I really want to go buy this dress or this shoes, and generally that doesn't happen very often because she's not a big spender in that way.
Yeah.
But she'll still come and ask, or like I'm going to go, hey, I want to go out for lunch this week, like because I'm going into town for work. I'm going to, instead of taking lunch, I'll buy lunch. She'll be like, so why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we still do it because we're just not naturally tuned to asking per se, but the awareness and the communication and that sort of thing.
And I think it's a good place to be. Like we've said, it's something we've discussed in the past couple of episodes. I suspect it's something that's going to come up as a running theme for episodes coming forward. But that communication piece is huge, because you might have that discretionary. Let's say you've got £500 in a discretionary pot. And you've already agreed, yep, you can spend that on whatever you want. But if you then go and buy something that is really frivolous, and the other person's thinking, but we could have put that into something else. I guess it's still good to have that conversation.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Switching gears for a second, outside of money.
Yeah, because this wasn't a money. This wasn't
because this is not just a money. Yeah, it's not just a money
it's
episode,
just
right?
We're super, passionate about, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess passionate about. Like, I know you've got a massive, like a spreadsheet that you track everything. I used to be that person, and now I use PocketSmith because it's easier. Like, we do like tracking, I guess, is maybe we're analyzing, or whatever. But I think the other parts of our relationships, like, how do you find things at home? Like, you've got children, you've got a household to manage, like fairness in terms of chores and like looking after the bills, car is in the shop, like those sort of things.
Yeah.
How do you guys manage that?
It's not something we discussed until we moved in together, but when we moved in together, we discussed that fairly early on. So when it was just the two of us, we said, right, okay, the cooking is going to be about 50-50. There's no like, I'm cooking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're doing, it was just about 50-50, and we'll just play it, whoever's got the most energy sort of thing, or whoever enjoys cooking that sort of meal. We agreed that my wife would do the cleaning, I do the shopping, and I do the laundry. So those sorts of chores. When it comes to the car, even when we had two cars, which we don't now, so my wife had a car and I had one, I still dealt with all the car stuff. If it went in the garage, if it needed cleaning, I did all that stuff. My wife won't touch the bins. She says that's my job. I don't know why. I don't know why she's incapable of taking the bin out, but
I know what you mean.
Hey ho.
Like,
apparently it's a man's job.
Apparently, but to be fair, it's a man's job until I walk into the bin room, see a spider this big, and then it's not a man's job. Then I'm like, nah, I'm never going back in there. I'm done. Like, I can't. So now she goes into the bin room. Or I'll take it out to a separate, like, we've got different bins around the estate we live on, and I'll take it somewhere else because I just can't. No way.
Yeah.
No.
So I think that's how we've dealt with it. And to be fair, that hasn't changed much. Now we have kids. And she isn't working. She's picked up a bit more of the cooking, and especially because we tend to eat our evening meal like just as I finish work. So if I finish work and then start cooking, the kids are eating a bit late. So the cooking thing she's picked up more of, and we've got more laundry, so she helps out a little bit more with the laundry when she's got days at home. But we've mostly kept to that same thing, and it was just that negotiation up front, I think, about okay, I'm going to take this, so you can take that, because like, I think she said to me, like, I don't really like doing the laundry. She certainly isn't like ironing, so it was a case of, right, okay, well, I don't mind doing that, so, but I don't really like cleaning. And she's like, yeah, I can clean. But I think if you hadn't had that conversation, because this is coming from before relationships, in my last year of uni, I lived in a little flat with 3 other people, and they were terrible at cleaning, terrible at keeping the place clean. I ended up making, and if they listen to this, I think they'd probably say that's fair, right? I ended up
Yeah.
having to make like a little chart and stick it. I was very passive aggressive. Stick it to the door in the kitchen, being like, "Oh, I've cleaned the bathroom this week. I've cleaned the kitchen this week. What have you done? Oh, you haven't done." And that's not. I don't. That's not. That's not the way to go. That was very passive aggressive. That's not the way to go in a relationship. But like, you've got to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Is that how you've dealt with things, or?
I think when we first started living together, so we moved in together when we were in our late 20s, and I remember sitting down. So at the time, like we both work in IT, right? And I think there's a lot of like requirements gathering in IT. There's a lot of like analysis and that sort of style of thinking at work. And so I think we applied that to moving in together. And so when we moved in together, we had retros every 2 weeks, because we had not lived together before. We wanted to make sure like what was not working, what was working. I'm vegetarian. My wife's not vegetarian, and so I had separate pots. I had separate everything, different shelves in the fridge and freezer, and yeah, I was quite different to the way I am now, is what I'll say, because I don't care about that anymore. Like, I still don't wash her meat dishes, so like I still have like some level of boundary because it grosses me out more than anything else, right? Like, I don't mind going to the supermarket and helping her like carry everything home and all of that sort of stuff, right? That doesn't concern me. But like but like watching or looking at bones, or having to touch things like that, it's too much for me. I can't handle those things. But I guess because we were quite, I don't know, BA like, we had all these retros every 2 months to kind of go, is this working? What's not working? How are we going to like? So she likes tidying. We both hate cleaning, which is more recently why we've invested in a cleaner, which has been a godsend.
I wish we did.
Yes, it's phenomenal. The time it frees up, and also the fact that we don't like the activity, it's just a big unlock. I hope you get there one day, because it is great.
Oh, we'll get there, obviously, because we're going to get lots of people subscribing to the podcast.
Yeah, we will.
Sponsors. We've already talked about what sponsors we would like, so maybe we'll reach out. Maybe they'll look them and love us, and then we can afford a cleaner and live the lazy life.
We can, yeah. Well, a portion of it, right? Like, I think that's the other thing. Like, what we've realized in like 3 hours every 3 weeks sort of style of cleaning, right? It still means we still do the spot cleaning. We still do things around the house, but now we get to do the things that we don't mind doing. Like, I remember when we bought our first vacuum cleaner, and I was like, I like doing the vacuum cleaning, so I'll pick a vacuum cleaner that I really like, because I don't mind doing the vacuuming, right? It's just sort of things like that you sort of work out and go, what is she keen on doing? What is we keen on doing? And then there's a whole bunch of stuff in the middle that we both hate, and then we just work out how do we divvy it up, really.
Yeah.
So knowing that I just spoke about the whole, we like what we like and what we don't like, have you come across the concept about love languages? And if you have, like, do you want to explain to everyone like what that is and how you've used it? Because it's such an extremely valuable thing, I think. Yeah.
So Ash just threw me under the bus a little bit. I do know about love languages a bit, but we didn't prep for this. So so I might get this a little wrong, but it's kind of that way that people like to feel loved, and it might be different for different people. So some people might be very much sort of like a recognition, so telling people that, oh, I'm really glad that you did this for me. Other people might show their love by doing something for someone, or I think touch is one of them, so having that sort of intimacy where it's just a hug or a cuddle, something like that. I personally think that my wife's love language is food, which is not one of the
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, now I have to re-record.
Don't you start and wait for him to recover so I can start up again.
And I like cuddles. I like cuddles.
Food is your love language.
No.
Alright, yeah, touch might be your technical love language, but
Yeah, the touch of food.
Technical love language.
So this is why you don't record a podcast with someone else in the room, especially your partner. So food is not a love language, but it's always what I joke with my wife. It's probably touch, to be honest. But whenever she's down or upset, it's like, oh, let's get Chinese, and that always seems to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did discuss it early on because I think it does go a long way. Even just having the discussion to understand your partner better and understand how it is that they find your affection to work. I don't know if that really makes sense, but
I think it does. I think what you're trying to say is
when
like
you have
how
different
it works.
love languages, your love language might be touch, but their love language might not be. So you might
Something
think
else.
that you're showing loads of love, but that's not how they're receiving it. I think that's where I was trying to get to. So understanding your own love language and understanding theirs, so that you can get what you need from them, but also you give them what they need rather than what you want to give them.
It's funny because usually most people default to giving the other person what they're expecting to get, if that makes sense. And so I think that's what trips up a lot of people that I've spoken to about this, because they're assuming that the other person wants quality time because they want quality time, and they don't have that. And I guess people over time, like traditionally, I don't think my parents did that, for example. Like as in when they were...
Pretty sure my parents did not talk about this.
Yeah, right. Like not at all. But I'm sure they would have worked it out, right? Or like a lot of my extended family went through arranged marriages, from the Indian heritage. That's quite common. They would have worked that out as they went, but it would have taken time and effort, and I'm not sure about arguments, but like it would have taken a lot of effort. And whereas having that discussion now, like I was talking to someone last week about this very topic, and they're about 20 years younger than us, and yet they've done it already. And
I hope they're not 20 years younger than me.
Maybe not 20 years younger than you, no. Maybe 20 years younger than me, or maybe 15. But, like it's quite cool to see the concept of it being introduced into relationships quite early. So then they can work out, oh, this is how we interact with each other, or how we're going to like be more successful at interacting with each other, if that makes sense. I remember that when my wife and I did it, we basically sat down. I remember she called me one night. This was before we even think we liked each other, or we sort of were just chatting as people that were, well, I was interested in her, but I'm not sure she realized that I was interested in her yet. And so she was talking to me about another guy. But so I did love languages with her, and then she ended up doing love languages with me. Like when on our first date, she asked me all those questions, and like I think that sort of kind of comes out in different ways through our relationship now, even 7 or 8 years on. That's sort of changed as time's gone on, in terms of where we lean towards one or we lean towards another. It's kind of like you have a different season for how you feel, I guess.
And I think leading on, or following on, from love languages and understanding what you need from the other person and how you give it, I think something that's been super important for us to understand is, obviously you're a couple, so you want to spend time together, but how do you also be independent? How do you still maintain that this is me, this is stuff I want to do? How do you find that time to do your own thing and be a couple? And this has changed for us over the years, and changed mainly, I guess, when we moved in together. That was a big change because we're together all the time.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, we can spend all this time together, but actually, I've got my own stuff I want to do, you know.
Mm.
And then again, when we had kids, and we've got even less time
Mm.
we've even got less time to just do your own thing or spend together. And that's also been a difficult change for us, and we're just kind of getting our free time back now. So we've just got our second child into his own bed, and he's sleeping during the night, and now we're starting to get that, you know, a few hours on an evening back, and it's, you know, it's trying to balance that. Okay, I know that my wife wants some time from me that's important to her. I mean, don't get me wrong, I also want to spend time with her, but I know it's important to her. But I also want to do things like do this podcast. So it's how do we, again, it's a conversation, I think, about, we've got to go, all right, you want this, you need this, but I also want to do these things, and how do we make that work? I don't know if that's something you've also found.
I think so. I think it comes about in probably different ways. So I think my wife's always been really independent, right from the start. And I think even when we were on holiday with my parents like 2 weeks ago, she's got no problem with going, I want to go do these things, you guys want to do those things. And the third person, like my brother, might want to go do something else. And we all split off and go do our own things, but more because she's sort of instigated it, if that makes sense, because of her independence. And so she's quite quick to go, oh no, I'm going to go do that because I want to go do that. If anyone wants to come with me, but I'm going to go do that, right?
And did she set that expectation before just kind of like dropping it on you?
Probably the very, very, very first time, but not now. Like now she'll, for example, in the weekend will be like, I feel like going to brunch, so I'm going to Canary Wharf. This is where I'm going. Do you want to come?
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, well, I need to go to the gym, and then Formula One's on. So no, I'm not. I'm good. But if you're good, she's like, yeah, I'm great. I'm going to go read a book and go do this, and I'm going to go shopping for a bit and whatever. And then she'll go and I'll do my own thing. Or sometimes I'm like, well, I don't really want to do what I wanted to do anyway. I want to spend time with you, so I'm just going to come with you anyway. Or like I think last year when I was spending a lot of time using ChatGPT to build software and that sort of thing for a side hustle, even though we want to spend time together, we can just be in the same room, right? Like there's nothing wrong with doing the things that we like doing, her watching drama or learning Mandarin through, you know, Perplexity or whatever it is. We can do that all in the same room, so we still have that. It may not be quality time, but that presence and the feeling of closeness, to be able to just still connect, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that one makes me smile. I remember during my wife's first pregnancy, she had this thing where she always wanted to be near me, but I still wanted to do my own thing. So I was just like, I was sat at my desk playing a game on my computer, and she just brought the chair right up next to me. She had like her feet on me, and I was like, okay, but she was just sat there minding her own business, reading a book, like doing her own thing, which is like, I just want to be near you.
That's cool. I love that.
And I think it's nice when you can do that, you know, not driven by hormones, but when you're not driven by hormones, and you can just be like, you know what, you want to watch the Formula One, you know, for some reason she's not interested, for some reason my wife isn't interested. I don't know why. Luckily my kids are, so I'm definitely getting them into it. But to be fair, Drive to Survive, she likes the drama of Drive to Survive.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But watching that,
the drama.
Yeah. But it's nice that, you know, you can kind of sit there and like, I'm going to watch this.
Yeah.
And you read your book. That's, you know, and just being in the same room is nice thing to have.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a great thing. I think over time you start to realize that even though you're in a relationship, that relationship is codependent in certain ways, but also that independence you can have to do your own thing. And as long as you make room for that, then I think it makes it like, I've always described it in such a way, and this may be a really weird concept, but my partner's not building her life on top of mine. I'm not building my life on top of hers. We're like train tracks. We're just going in the same direction and we happen to be going towards the same things, right? Or we're growing. Sometimes she's on a growth path that's different to my growth path. That happens quite frequently too. But we've still got the goal of being in the same destination, if that makes sense. And
you want to be on that journey together as well.
And we're on that journey together. Yeah, we're on the same train.
Yeah.
And
I think that kind of it all keeps on coming back to, doesn't it? Having that conversation and making sure that you're talking, because I think as we've seen here that relationships might not be like 50-50 straight down the middle. You're 50-50 money, you're 50-50 responsibilities, you're 50-50 this. It doesn't mean the effort that you put in can't be equal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's gonna. I'm reluctant to like say it this way, but it's gonna average out over time, right? There'll be days where you come home and you're like, you know what? I've had a really long day at work. I spent 6 hours on a train the other day, like getting up to Newcastle, and if I needed to interact with anyone at the end of that, I was a zombie. So like sometimes you come home and you feel that. Like my wife goes to work every day, so when she gets home, she needs some time to like de-stress or make dinner or whatever it is, right? And you give each other that space. But I think it's having a realization that when that person can't be 100% in, then you can go, okay, well, I can step in and I can do the rest, right? That 50-50, you're right, that it's never 50-50. It is what it is on the day.
Yeah. I've seen that with kids, especially with my wife being at home with them all the time. She gets to the end of the day and she's like, I just need to walk away and I need you to pick this up. And I understand it's like, okay, she just needs that break. She just needs me to give her that extra today. I think that's what we wanted to cover today. I definitely think we could talk more about this, and I suspect that maybe future episodes will come back to touch on some of these things. But I think we are out of time, and if you are interested in more of this and future discussions, then please do subscribe and like the videos or follow depending on what platform we're on. And please do comment as well about what you would like us to talk about. Do you like this sort of thing? Is there other things you'd like us to cover? And if there's anything you think we can improve, because we want to keep on building this and make this better for you. So please do leave a comment. It'll really help, and share it with people if you think it's useful to them. And our next episode is hopefully going to be talking about money and side hustles. So we talked about money a bit today, but this is going to be more about, I guess, bringing in that extra bit of cash. So join us for that. Take care.
Sounds good. All right.
It's
a good way of starting the episode.
It is.
Virgin for the win.
Quite good. Virgin for the win.
And no more context than that. You're going to stay quiet now?
You should leave that in there.
Yeah.
You should go, excuse me, and then cut, and then you're going to stay quiet now.
Pull up a chair, leaning close. Here's to the chats we love the most. Between mates, between friends. It's a show that never ends.